James West here reporting from Houston, Texas for Climate Desk. Now, one of the biggest uncertainties in climate science right now is the role of clouds. What better way to work that part out than flying right through them? That's what NASA scientists aboard this airplane think. Welcome to NASA's biggest airborne laboratory. You're coming with us today on an 8-hour NASA flight mission.
When you read these big IPCC climate assessments, what's the biggest uncertainty? There's two, right? The role of aerosols and clouds. Clouds is probably bigger than aerosols.
That is a piece of a puzzle that right now we are missing.
You can't get the models right if you don't understand the chemistry and the process.
Now we're being told we've got to get on. The doors are about to shut, so let's go aboard. Every time you turn on the weather, every time you hear a climate change prediction, that information has to come from somewhere. And it starts by getting sucked out of the air from planes like this.
So this mission is to try to understand the emissions from the surface, so mostly biogenic emissions, so from trees and other plants.
Right now we're flying to our very first part of this experiment on the DC-8. Over Arkansas, there's a particularly pungent bouquet of emissions that scientists are interested in measuring.
Well, these emissions lead to both aerosols and to molecules that both destroy and create ozone. So these are very important things to understand for climate studies.
How it will manifest itself, it will be in more accurate and more reliable predictions.
So what we're doing is taking a series of flyovers, each at a different level of the atmosphere, scooping up those emissions, testing them, and hopefully scientists are going to see exactly what's in this column of air all the way up.
The data that we collect in one flight can keep busy 60 scientists and students for 3 years, 4 years. We are still studying data from data collected 20 years ago.
In fact, this particular mission today is its most heavily equipped in its nearly 30 years of service. Each one of these consoles here is a specially equipped scientific instrument designed to collect all sorts of different data in real time.
And this instrument here tracks the sun.
We're looking at mist chambers. They're used to strip soluble gases.
This black line is the CO2. It's about 390 ppm right now.
We're putting these filters in the bags that we've got the aerosols that we trapped out of a certain amount of air. And so we're sampling up here about 150 liters a minute.
That ultimately flows back into the operational models. It flows back into what goes on TV every day.
Anyway, I got to get this sample going.
You do it. It's a busy man at work. We can't let him rest. Well, get this. We've just spent 2 hours crisscrossing this one cloud formation. In, back out again, back in again.
Then they grow, and we track them as long as we can, and then we let it go.
Even one cloud can hold a host of answers to the mysteries of climate change.
The patterns of, where the clouds are, what type of clouds we see, what kind of weather systems they're associated with it, that'll all be shifting in a shifting climate, in a world with climate change.
Then the big spark is this, is when we actually get the meat on the grill. And then it will be some time to process it.
Okay, friends and neighbors, saddle up and get ready for the Bill Press Show this Thursday morning, June 26th, with lots to talk about. How about it? Early in the morning, we know, but there's a lot going on you're going to want to know about and want to talk about here on Free Speech TV and on Talker TV. That's our video stream worldwide, youtube.com/Talker, TAWKR TV. And remember, you can join the conversation at any time at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. Today, the big showdown between the United States and Germany in the World Cup. To stay alive, the United States needs either to win or to tie, and to make it into the final 16. President Obama, we were told yesterday, will be watching the game on board Air Force One on his way to Minneapolis today, along with millions and millions and millions of Americans, me included. Meanwhile, House Speaker John Boehner yesterday, one of the most stupid things he has ever done, he announced that House Republicans are going to sue President Obama for executive orders that he has signed. In other words, you got it? The House refuses to do anything about all the important issues like immigration reform or climate change. So the president does what little he can by executive order, and now the House is going to sue the president of the United States for doing his job and, of course, force American taxpayers to pay for it. I told you it was stupid. It's going nowhere. It's just, again, doing anything to please their base. Supreme Court yesterday, in a great big blow for privacy, said that police need a search warrant to look through your cell phone if you are arrested. They cannot just go through your cell phone and look at your information unless they have a warrant from a court ruling that unanimously. Good for them. Give us a call again at 866-55-PRESS. Good to have you with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power.
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am
I am
tired,
tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name is Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
John Boehner says he's going to sue President Obama for doing his job. Oh, my God. So it just gets sillier and sillier on Capitol Hill. We try to keep up with it, though. Good morning, everybody. Thursday, June 26th, the day you've been waiting for, the big match between the USA and Germany. What an exciting day. Starting out here this Thursday morning, right here on the Bill Press Show. Thank you for starting the day with us, and we'll fill you up with all the news of the day and let you talk about it and sound off about it as well. We are there with you on your local progressive talk radio station this morning. How lucky you are if you've got one. If you're not, a little backup anywhere else in the country, go to the TuneIn app. Just download it. TuneIn. That's what it's called. It's free. And on there, you'll find the Progressive Voices channel and our show every morning, all 3 hours. Glad to be there with you on TuneIn, on your local progressive talk radio station, and also on Free Speech TV. You got a satellite dish. You know where DirecTV is. That's where we are, the Bill Press Show. All across this country and around the globe. The video is Talker TV, youtube.com/Talker, TAWKR TV. And this morning, I guess we say, hello, Germany. Shout out to Germany because you're going to get your ass kicked.
There you go. That's what I wanted to hear. Start a little international incident.
We already feel sorry for you. We understand, but just go out and have a few beers and drown yourself in beer because
they have a lot of good beer. So
we know that.
They'll have plenty of things to drown their sorrows.
Right, exactly. All right. Great to see you today. We are here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., where we had a torrential downpour last night. Fortunately, Carol and I and a friend were in a nice restaurant nearby and just able to eat and drink and watch the thunder and lightning outside and not have to walk out in it. Peter Ogburn running the show this morning. Alicia Murphy's got the day off again today. Alicia Cruz is there with the phones, ready to take your calls at 866-55-PRESS. And Monty Kensler here on the video cam, keeping us looking good on Free Speech TV and on Talker TV. Yes, we mentioned it is today's a big day, the World Cup today. At the World Cup, the USA versus Germany. The president's traveling to Minneapolis today, so at the White House briefing yesterday, I asked Press Secretary Josh Earnest whether the president would be among the millions and millions and millions of American fans tuned in.
Has the president arranged his schedule tomorrow between 12 and 2, so he will be there where on the issue most Americans care about?
Yeah. I think you're referring to a soccer game, I think, right? Yeah. It's my understanding that based on the schedule, the way the schedule is laid out for tomorrow, the president will be on Air Force One tomorrow. So for most Americans, you're on an airplane, you're disappointed that you're not going to have a chance to watch television. When you're the President of the United States, it's one of the rare opportunities that you actually have to be around the television when it's on. So we'll be able to provide you an update whether or not the President takes advantage of that opportunity.
You know he will.
American governors and mayors do this, make bets with each other on the games. Has the President called Chancellor Merkel and made any big bet between the U.S. and Germany?
Not that I'm aware of. If we do make a bet along those lines, I'll make sure you guys are aware of the details.
It's a good question.
I think that they'll get a couple cases of beer here going on this game.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Don't you think?
I was going to say beer. Germany's known for their beer.
We could have some Blue Jacket beer.
That's it.
Versus some Munich beer or whatever.
Some of that watery German crap.
I know, right? Yeah.
That 364 days out of the year, I will drink happily, but not today.
I mean, the president could easily call Chancellor Merkel. We know he has her cell phone number.
That's right. That's right.
She's smart. She's changed it, but we got the new one too, right? You ought to call and make a bet, don't you think?
I think that's a great idea.
Now, speaking of this game, I want to make a statement here, which I am willing to stand behind.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
I think there are probably, I could count on one, if I knew who they were, on one hand, the fingers of one hand, the people who understand the rules of soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so bloody complicated.
It is complicated.
Because so we're trying to get into the final 16 today. All right? And it doesn't mean that we have to win to get in the final 16.
That's right.
It depends on whether you win, by how much, how many goals you score. We could also tie Germany, and we would both advance. But it depends again on how many goals you score. If it's 0-0, you don't move as far forward as you could if you tie 5-5 or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
We could also still lose and still move forward depending on how many goals other teams in our bracket score in their games later.
Yes. Okay. Just to show you how freaking complicated it is. Okay. The New York Times this morning on the sports page. There are 984 ways for the United States to advance based on the games today.
Come on.
No, because you've got United States, Germany, Ghana, and Portugal all playing, vying for 2 spots in the final 16. So when you put all the combinations of all of those 4 teams, right? And they've got the whole thing here.
Sure.
You can follow.
Good grief, look at that.
984 different scenarios. So this makes the the brackets,
the March Madness
for the March Madness seem like Legos.
It really does.
You know what I mean?
It really does.
Child play.
No, you're right, because in that it's a win or a loss.
Yeah.
You win, you move on. You lose, you don't. Here,
this is that's why I say nobody. I'll bet you most of the players have no freaking idea. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hassle. It's a real hassle.
I think it's unfair. Anyhow, but all I know is just beat Germany.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Hey, I don't make it too complicated. All right. Hey, coming up, Congresswoman Barbara Lee. She was right about Iraq. Everybody knows it now. She'll be joining us a little bit later. We'll also have reporters from Bloomberg and from Politico. And, of course, all of you. But first,
this
Peter.
is the Full Court Press.
Yes, indeed. Just a couple of other stories making news. And let's actually start with the World Cup. Yesterday, Nigeria was in action. And this is one of the weirder things that I've seen happen in a soccer match. Oginye Onazi was shooting on goal, and when he kicked the ball, he hit his teammate, Michael Babatunde, and he kicked the ball so hard that he snapped his teammate's arm in half. Broke his arm. He kicked it so hard.
What?
His own teammate blocked the goal. It would have gone in, by the way.
Oh, my God.
And he hit it so hard. The video is excruciating to watch.
Ooh,
and he hit
his arm?
That's how hard they're kicking the ball. He hit him on the forearm, and you see the forearm just break. There's no question about it that it's a broken arm.
Oh, my God.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying video.
Did the goal count?
No goal counted. And then they ended up losing 3-2. Yeah.
They lost an arm in the process.
That's right. If you are a climate change denier, you might have a chance to cash in. This is a professor from the University of South Dakota by the name of Dr. Christopher Keating. He is such a believer in science and climate change that he has said, if you are a climate change denier and you can prove that man has no impact on global warming, I will pay you $10,000. It is his $10,000 global warming skeptic challenge, he calls it. He's published a book called Undeniable Dialogues on Global Warming. So if you're out there and you're a climate change denier and you think you can disprove maybe you get a chance to get 10 grand.
Out there, look, the climate change deniers are 6 blocks from here in the United States Congress. That's where
right.
they are. Yeah, Jim Inhofe will be lining up today to get that $10,000.
Yeah, there you go. And if you're hungry, McDonald's has a new promotion that might be appealing to you. It's called their Dinner Box promotion, and it is 2 Big Macs, 2 regular cheeseburgers, 10-piece chicken McNuggets, and 4 small fries for $9.99. They are saying that this is a way to feed families for cheap. If you ordered all of those items individually off of the menu, it would cost $8 more. And they're saying right off the bat, they say, we know we're going to lose some money on this deal, but they're trying to get more people in the door of McDonald's. Now, if you were to do that and you were to feed a family of 4, not such a bad idea. If you were to do that and eat it all yourself, which I have a bad feeling some people will do.
I'm mixed about that. I think it's good that they're doing it because for a lot of families that can make a difference. You can feed your whole family for less than $10, and, right. But there ain't nothing they could offer that's going to get me in the door of McDonald's. Okay, so. Just saying.
I don't disagree.
All right, yes, indeed. The latest stunt by John Boehner, that's what it is. A total stunt. Is worth talking about this morning. It is just so colossally stupid. I can't believe it. All right, let's just put this in context. We know this is, by any count, just the facts, ma'am, okay, the most do-nothing Congress ever, okay? I mean, Harry Truman running against the do-nothing Congress in 1948, that Congress passed some 900 and some bills. This Congress has done nothing about anything, okay? So, at this, and we know, I mean, you name the issue. Immigration reform, climate change, education, gun safety, doesn't matter. Done nothing. We know that. So, in the context of that, we've heard the president say, we got a lot of problems facing this country, and if you guys aren't going to act, I'm going to do what I can using my pen and using my phone to get things done. And the president has done some good things. They're relatively modest because, we do have separation of powers and you need Congress to pass a bill for most big actions. Well, what's the response to that? We've heard Congress Republicans for a long time accusing the president, of acting above the law, of being the illegitimate president, not only because he wasn't born here, because his actions are illegal. So yesterday, John Boehner said we're going to do something about that. Yes, in July, when we come back from our little 4th of July break, we're going to vote to sue the President of the United States, asking House Republicans to vote to do this. They will. To sue the President of the United States for taking executive actions. Executive actions like, well, here's John Boehner, first of all, announcing the action.
I believe the president is not faithfully executing the laws of our country. And on behalf of the institution and our Constitution, standing up and fighting for this is in the best long-term interest of the Congress.
Yeah. I see. This is why we have to do it, because the president has not been faithfully executing his law, the law of the land. But John Boehner hastens to add, right? No. We're not trying to impeach him.
This is not about impeachment. This is about his faithfully executing the laws of our country.
So, by the way, John Boehner did not say exactly which executive orders or actions that he's opposed to. Now, among the things the president has done, for example, let's take a look at them. On Obamacare, the business community, a lot of the businesses says, this requirement that we provide health care to all of our employees if we have 50 employees or more, this is really burdensome and we can't do it. We need a lot of time to get ready. So the president delayed that for a year because businesses ask him to. He's got the authority under the law to do that. Obamacare is the law of the land. I think John Boehner keeps forgetting that. The president on immigration reform, Congress won't do anything. So the president said, well, you know what? I'm going to provide a path to citizenship for those immigrants only, those immigrants who have served in the military and were brought here by their parents when they were just little infants. At least we can do that for them. The president did that by executive order. Very limited, but he did that. What's wrong with that? On climate change, the president has said through EPA, we're going to issue some new regulations on existing power plants and on new power plants. And the John Roberts Supreme Court has already upheld those regulations. So the president was hardly exceeding his law. Congress refuses to raise the minimum wage. President Obama says, you know what? I'm going to require any federal contractors who are making deals with the federal government on projects that they must pay the minimum wage of $10.10. He's the boss of the federal government. He's the one who signs the contracts, or people who work for him. He can certainly make that. So exactly what actions is John Boehner talking about? You know what this is, friends? All this is a subterfuge. This is a smokescreen for the Republicans doing nothing. So they are saying because we do nothing, the president should do nothing as well. And if the president is doing anything, we're going to sue him. This is so crazy. We're going to sue him for doing his job. Not only that, we are going to make taxpayers pay for our lawsuit. So we are being asked to foot the bill for this insane lawsuit that John Boehner is going to start up, suing the President of the United States for taking just little actions where he can to try to keep this country moving forward, rather than just, being hopelessly locked in gridlock forever. Now, here's what and by the way, Josh Earnest yesterday was asked about this at the White House, and Josh Earnest did a good job, I think, of dismissing it and for just what it is.
Republicans are resorting to a taxpayer-funded lawsuit and not focused on trying to work through the political process to find common ground and move the country forward.
Yeah. Meanwhile, by the way, I just saw the count. George Bush, 291 executive orders that he signed. So far, President Obama has signed 168. They didn't raise hell. They didn't sue George Bush, did they?
Well, they loved it then.
Yeah. By the way, there's something else that George Bush did by executive action without asking Congress to pass a law. He started the war in Iraq by executive action. Yeah. Put that alongside of anything Barack Obama has done. I think you get the context. Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS. I think this is going nowhere. I think it's a total waste of time and money. Will the American people be fooled by this? I think they'll see right through it as a subterfuge for inaction on the part of House Republicans. 866-55-PRESS. You know the number. Let's talk about it.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TalkerTV. That's TAWKR TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Grunt work. Love it, hate it, useful, not useful.
Necessary.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
I will say that I think is a challenge for anyone, especially the new workforce as they come in, is the ability to accept grunt work with grace.
The most boring, awful details are the most important elements of doing this work. From the way you save names in your Rolodex to the way you bank and you deposit checks. The truth is, this work isn't glamorous, it's rewarding. You don't go into this for the glamour, you go into it for the impact. And so it takes that determination to do the scut work to actually get anywhere.
It can be really challenging in a first job for someone who's coming out of finishing school to have the enthusiasm that they do to make the type of social impact that they've dreamed of. And now they're here in this first job and all of a sudden they're shouldered with all this grunt work. And they don't understand and they don't get it and they're resentful.
Talk more about the power of answering phones?
Sure, I did that myself, took out the trash, cleaned offices when I had to, and it's all good. There's power in being a good team player and in being somebody who sometimes has to support other people's leadership before you get to have your own moment in the sun.
Is it hard to wait?
It is absolutely hard to wait, especially if you're an alpha female like I am.
I think grunt work can help a new employee build trust internally and teach them the nuances of how an organization is run so that they can have a real good sense of what HR is doing, what finance is doing, what all the other departments are, and that actually makes them a better employee in the long run.
So in my role on a daily basis, I literally can be looking at a new venture in software. We could be looking at a microfinance deal. I could be making coffee, taking out the trash, and riding a tractor on any given day.
Have you found people who thought it was demeaning that they were given this job, work in the front office and make the coffee when they graduated with all A's from this great university?
And, people like that just don't last very long in our world. If your approach to life is that, you're so smart and you're such a fabulous entrepreneur that you can't understand why people aren't giving you opportunities, it's really hard to advance.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
This is the Bill Press Show.
House Republicans will vote in July to sue President Obama for taking executive action, signing executive orders. Never did so for George Bush, of course. Davis, calling from Radford, Virginia. What do you think of this, Davis? Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
What's up?
I was listening to your program, and I enjoy listening to all the common sense that you're making. And me being a liberal and having conservative friends, I'm talking to them all the time, trying to get them to listen to me, and a lot of them do. I think a lot of people in the United States who are liberals need to talk to their conservative friends, and because a lot of times this is the first time that they've heard liberal ideas from somebody they trust.
Absolutely, Davis. And listen, I'm glad we maybe can provide you a little ammunition to use when talking to your friends. And I think it's important. Ask your conservative friends what they think about John Boehner's stunt. See if they can defend this. You know what? I think you'll find that they're embarrassed by this. It is no substitute for action. More calls coming up on the other side. John Boehner.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Or you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new. If I could have an extra 5 years to live. You said 5, right? 5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much.
I would get more hamsters.
I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If I could live an extra 5 years.
I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime. I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna. I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks. Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Here we go. It's 34 minutes after the hour now on a Thursday morning, June 26th. Yes. And talking about this crazy announcement yesterday by John Boehner, the head of the most do-nothing Congress in the history of the United States Congress, all the way back to the beginning, who now says they are so happy doing nothing that they are going to sue the President of the United States for, they say, abusing his executive authority by signing a couple of executive orders, although they will not say and do not say in his memo, did not say in his memo yesterday, Boehner did not say which particular executive orders of the president he feels were exceeding the law. By the way, I'm not an attorney, but I've read enough about this to know that this lawsuit, I mean, it's pure politics. It is going nowhere. Because to sue, you have to prove that you have been personally damaged by some action by somebody else. And just imagine the time it would take for this thing to like wind its way through the court, even assuming that the House would have standing in a case like this. This lawsuit would not be settled before Barack Obama is out of office. So all this is one more effort, it seems to me, to stir up the Republican base and see how tough we are? Yeah. First of all, we claim Barack Obama is not an American. Then we refuse to support anything he does, including stuff that we once supported when George Bush was in office. And not only that, we're now suing him just because we can, or we think we can. Nancy Pelosi called it yesterday, too, I think, just like Josh Earnest did.
I make of it as subterfuge. As I said, they're doing nothing here. And so they have to give some aura of activity.
Yeah, this is it. Pretty lame excuse. Do you think the American people will fall for it? 866-55 Press. Wayne, out in Chicago in the great WCPT. Hello, Wayne.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, what do you think?
The Republican voters, yes, to answer your question, they are going to fall for it, and they are falling for it. Ever since Obama got elected, like according to Tom Hartman, that night, a lot of politicians went to, I think it's called the Caucus Restaurant in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And they made
Caucus Room, it's called, but anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. They made a pact. We're not going to pass anything that Obama and the Democrats want passed, and we're going to block any and everything. So while they're doing that, everything they're doing is just a diversion. This thing they're doing now is just a diversion. You can't be a politician and do nothing. You got to have a diversion. So that's what they're doing.
Well, no, that's exactly right. And that's why Nancy Pelosi said it's a subterfuge to mask, they think, right, to mask their inaction and their refusal to act on any of these issues. But, Wayne, I disagree slightly in the sense I think you're the diehard Tea Party Republicans will love this, but I think most of the American people will this is not what they want out of Congress, filing a lawsuit. They want to see some action, right?
Right.
They want to see jobs. They want to see schools improved, lives improved, minimum wage, extension of unemployment insurance, clean air. They don't want to see this stupid fighting over a lawsuit. I don't believe.
In the meantime, we need trillions of dollars worth for infrastructure repair, our roads, bridges.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All jobs programs that the Democrats tried to pass have been blocked.
Right. Yeah. And let's work on that instead of something like this silly lawsuit. Wayne, good to hear from you, my friend. Thanks so much in the morning. Hey, while we're out in Chicago, can't go to Chicago without saying hello to Joey. Hey, Joey, how you doing?
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Peter.
Hey, buddy.
Love the show, guys. This is another three-car Monty routine by the Republican Party. I think the American people are sick of it, to be honest with you. And all they got to say is, my defense would be how many filibusters the Republican Party pulled on me, and then how many times George Bush did.
Yeah.
I mean, this lawsuit is a joke. I could defend Barack Obama in this lawsuit against the Republicans, and I'm not even educated. So, good luck with this one. And I also remember the Republicans trying this crap back in the 90s against Clinton when they tried to impeach him. And all that did was rile up the Democrats. So go ahead, Republicans, give it a shot, and we'll see you in November, see what happens, buddy.
All right. You got it, Joey. All right. Well said. Yeah, again, giving those numbers, and I saw Morning Joe was using the same numbers this morning, that George Bush signed 291 executive actions. In other words, 291 times George Bush said, Congress is not doing this, so I'm going to do it myself. I've got the authority to do this. I am the President of the United States. So far, among all of his executive actions on all different subjects, President Obama has reached 168, so lagging pretty far behind George Bush. And signing an executive order saying, get this, they're because of the flexibility in the Affordable Care Act, and because so many American businesses, this is just one example, and because so many American businesses have said we have a problem with the mandate for us to provide health insurance to all of our employees within a year, the president said, I'm going to do what business wants, do what American business wants. We're not going to eliminate the mandate. We're just going to delay it for a year. That's one example of one executive action. You're telling me under the law the president doesn't have the authority to do that? Of course he does. But compare that to starting a war in Iraq by executive action, which is exactly what George Bush did. Started a war in Iraq, which we're now reminded in spades every day, for which we are paying the price. Yeah, George Bush did that. That was number one executive action of George Bush. Not a peep out of Republicans, even today. Robert, come from Medford, Oregon. Hello, Robert. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I agree. I think this is going to backfire on the Republicans and
I hope so.
on Boehner, because they're going to think back to Bush, Rice, and that good old Cheney, and what they did either was a bald-faced lie or it was misinformation. Either way, he was responsible for many deaths of Americans and Iraqis, and he should have been brought up on charges, not a lawsuit. He should have been taken to court on involuntary manslaughter, as far as I'm concerned, because we went on false pretenses that there was weapons of mass destruction, and that was why we went in. So I see this lawsuit as just a political ploy to tear another black man down. I think it's got a lot to do with Obama being a black man. All this stuff that's been going on for the last 6 years.
All right. You got it, Robert. Hey, good to hear from you out on the West Coast, a great state of Oregon. Political ploy, I think, is a good phrase to sum up exactly what this lawsuit is all about. We've got time for one more here before we take a break and move on to, we'll be talking to Zoe Carpenter from The Nation magazine in the next segment about what the Supreme Court, two big rulings of the Supreme Court yesterday, but on this silly Boehner lawsuit to be, I love this. I'm going to ask the House caucus in July if they want to sue the president. I'm giving them the authority to do it, and I'm going to ask them if they want to do it in July. Yeah. How do you think that vote's going to go? Who do you think in the Republican caucus will dare vote against this? Paul, calling from Benton, Pennsylvania. Hey, Paul.
Good morning. I thought Republicans were supposed to be against all these frivolous lawsuits.
Good point. Yeah, right. Yeah. You hear them talk all the time about frivolous lawsuits, right? And here they are, filing their own. Okay, Paul, good point. I'll throw that one in next time we talk about it. And indeed, again, the Supreme Court yesterday, this is the season before they take off for the summer. They always hold everything off until the very last minute, and the last week it's just a flood of important decisions coming down. Two of them yesterday on cell phone searches and on Arrow. And Zoe Carpenter from The Nation will bring us up to date.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. I mean, there was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment.
All
1 minute. 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 1 you could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. The truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
This is the Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour, Congresswoman Barbara Lee joining us at the top of the next hour. And yesterday, the Supreme Court, they're getting ready to break for the summer, so they wait until the very end to drop the one shoe after the other in terms of big issues that they have decided. We heard from the Supreme Court on two big ones yesterday, related to cell phones and to Arrow, and it's the challenge to Arrow from the big broadcasters and the networks. Zoe Carpenter is a reporter here in Washington for The Nation magazine, thenation.com, joins us on our newsline this morning. Hi, Zoe. Good to have you back today.
Hey, good morning.
Let's start with the cell phones. What did the court say? What's it all mean?
Well, the court issued a sweeping and in some ways surprising ruling for digital privacy rights. And so what the court ruled was that police officers must have a warrant in general cases when they want to search the cell phone of someone that they have arrested. And previously it was thought that they could look through the cell phones for information that might help lead to a conviction. So the two cases that were decided, information was found on the phone, photos and phone numbers that helped law enforcement convict the suspect.
Now, it's significant also that this decision was unanimous, correct?
It was unanimous, 9-0, and the ruling was really, the language in the ruling was quite forceful.
Right, and written by the Chief Justice himself.
Correct, and he also read it from the bench, which is maybe a sign that he meant to send a signal.
Right. So it's something that civil libertarians and privacy advocates, liberals and conservatives, could applaud. My question, I guess, you used the phrase digital privacy. So is there any suggestion that this would apply to more than cell phones? How about laptops? How about iPads?
Well, there were some hints. There were some mentions of information stored in the cloud. So the ruling talked about data that you could access with your phone, but that wasn't actually stored on the phone. But what was so striking was the way that the court recognized that technology really has changed enough to warrant a reconsideration of the legal precedent that's set for privacy rights.
And I guess, I mean, one follows the other, right? They do need a warrant. Police do need a warrant to come in to search your home or your office, right? Your desk, your papers in your home. And today, most people store information, or more and more people store at least a lot of information, if not all of their information, on a device, an electronic device, rather than a piece of paper. Correct? So.
Right, and the Chief Justice noted that, and he noted that it would be, in many cases, more intrusive for the police to search through your phone than to search through your house.
Yeah, very, as you say, surprising, and yet I think a very good decision yesterday on the court on that issue. A victory for privacy, and I'm sure it will be challenged when it comes to. I mean, some people will try to extend it, of course, to laptops and iPads and everything, which may, in fact, in turn be challenged as well. Now, then the court, also this case about Arrow versus the networks. What was that all about, and how did the court rule?
So the court ruled in favor of the big networks, the big TV networks, against Arrow, which is a small company that basically restreamed video and content from the big network. So this was a loss for the little guys. It will effectively kill the company. And in some ways it's not surprising. I think that the court often sides in favor of the established networks. And there was some reason to believe that Congress may actually have passed a law killing Arrow's business anyways. So it's unfortunate, but not surprising.
So Arrow, as I understand it, they have these little antennas, and they were, with these antennas, just capturing content, shows that were broadcast by the networks, and then sending them out on their network and charging people for them, correct?
Right, that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, and the court was saying, in effect, you are stealing those shows and then selling somebody else's content and making a profit off it. Yeah, so I understand. I just wonder again whether that in the long term that ruling will stand, because there is so much access to so much content and so much programming today on the internet. Where do you draw the line? But the court drew the line.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think that's a really interesting question, and certainly it's one that's going to come up again and again as we have new technologies that do facilitate more creative uses of the airwaves that are just seemingly floating freely through the atmosphere out there.
Yeah. Now, it seems to me that we're on the path toward all content everywhere is available to everybody, anytime, on any device, and it's going to be. It's impossible to stop that march, right? I mean, that's where we're headed. We're not there yet. This obviously is one decision in the opposite direction, but I think it's only a matter of time before all content is available to everybody, everywhere, and nothing you can do about it. Hey, Zoe, thanks for tracking this stuff for us. Appreciate it very much. And as always, I salute The Nation. In fact, I have this week's copy of The Nation I haven't cracked yet, but I can't wait. I've been a subscriber for a long time. So appreciate all the good work you do. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Bye.
Zoe Carpenter, thenation.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the next hour, Congresswoman Barbara Lee joins us. And then a little bit later, John Allen from Bloomberg News, White House reporter for Bloomberg News, who with Amy Parnes wrote the great book on Hillary Clinton, HRC. Peter Ogburn, what's going on?
Well, the race for mayor in Providence, Rhode Island just got a little more interesting. They have a new contender. He is Bade Cianci, former Providence,
sounds familiar.
Rhode Island mayor. He served as mayor before. He has also been convicted of a felony twice. But he's back. He's out. He's clean. He's ready to get back in and do work. He talks about how much he loves the city of Providence, and he's ready to get to work.
Let me tell you, Bade Cianci, unique among American politicians. He was mayor of Providence twice. And each time that he was mayor of Providence, he had to leave office because he was convicted of a felony. The first time he had to leave because he was convicted of assault. The second time because he was convicted of racketeering. But he was a great mayor of Providence.
That's right.
Because Providence is a great city today. It has improved so much, I know it well, because of Bade Cianci. Bring him back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Okay, friends and neighbors, saddle up and get ready for the Bill Press Show this Thursday morning, June 26th, with lots to talk about. How about it? Early in the morning, we know, but there's a lot going on you're going to want to know about and want to talk about here on Free Speech TV and on Talker TV. That's our video stream worldwide, youtube.com/Talker, TAWKR TV. And remember, you can join the conversation at any time at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. Today, the big showdown between the United States and Germany in the World Cup. To stay alive, the United States needs either to win or to tie, and to make it into the final 16. President Obama, we were told yesterday, will be watching the game on board Air Force One on his way to Minneapolis today, along with millions and millions and millions of Americans, me included. Meanwhile, House Speaker John Boehner yesterday, one of the most stupid things he has ever done, he announced that House Republicans are going to sue President Obama for executive orders that he has signed. In other words, you got it? The House refuses to do anything about all the important issues like immigration reform or climate change. So the president does what little he can by executive order, and now the House is going to sue the president of the United States for doing his job and, of course, force American taxpayers to pay for it. I told you it was stupid. It's going nowhere. It's just, again, doing anything to please their base. Supreme Court yesterday, in a great big blow for privacy, said that police need a search warrant to look through your cell phone if you are arrested. They cannot just go through your cell phone and look at your information unless they have a warrant from a court ruling that unanimously. Good for them. Give us a call again at 866-55-PRESS. Good to have you with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power.
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
John Boehner says he's going to sue President Obama for doing his job. And he expects us to pay for this stupid lawsuit. Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Thursday, June 26th. So good to see you today. Thank you for joining us here on The Bill Press Show. Coming to you live Thursday morning all across this wonderful land of ours, coast to coast on your local progressive talk radio station and on Free Speech TV. Got a satellite dish? Catch us on the Dish Network and Direct TV. And as we tell you what's going on today, you join the conversation. We look forward to hearing from you by telephone at 866-55-PRESS, our toll-free number. Or we look forward to hearing your comments and getting your comments on Twitter at BP Show and, of course, on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Lots to talk about this morning. We got the team assembled here this morning. Well, Elisa Murphy, she's got a couple of days off. Peter Ogburn filling in a couple of roles this morning.
Hey.
Leading the team. Hello, Peter. Alicia Cruz is there on the phones. Take your calls. Keep her busy. Got to keep those phones ringing so Alicia doesn't fall asleep at the switch here. And God forbid Monty Chancellor might fall asleep on the video camera.
That would be trouble.
I hope not. Otherwise, the lights will go off and the cameras will go dark.
That's right.
No, we can't let that happen. On the political front, before we get into the big stories of the day, Peter, you just mentioned that the people in Providence, Rhode Island, got a shocker yesterday when former Mayor Bade Cianci announced that he is going to run once again for mayor of Providence. He's now a talk show host. He's been on this program. He wrote a book a couple of years ago called Pasta and Politics. And Buddy says, here's what's here's the advantage that I bring.
They know my faults. They know my. Although a lot of the stuff is myth that's perpetrated by a lot of people, but the fact is that they know who I am, and they know what I am, and they know what I've accomplished. They know what my shortcomings are.
Yeah, that's right. They know the fact that he was mayor of Providence twice before, and both times his term in office ended with a conviction for a felony, for one of which he served 4 years in federal prison, convicted for assault and convicted for racketeering. And yet now he wants the third term, and Buddy says again, I am who I am.
I mean, I love the city of Providence, and that's why I'm doing this. And is it a sacrifice on my part? No, it's not, because I love the city, and it would be an honor to be mayor again.
Give me a third time, and I'll be convicted of a third felony. I promise you.
That should be his slogan. I've never had the privilege of going to Providence, Rhode Island. But from what you say, what I've heard others say, it's turned into a lovely city, and he had a big hand in that.
Here's what's funny about that, because Carol, my wife, is from Providence, so I've been there many, many times. And when I first went up there in the 70s, actually, Providence was a dump. Downtown Providence was a dump. Wonderful city, but downtown was just... And there's a beautiful river that goes right through the middle of downtown. It was paved over. It was a road and everything. Bade Cianci, with all of his faults, brought the city of Providence back. And now downtown's a beautiful city, beautiful downtown, great parks, great restaurants. It's a marvelous little city, jewel of a little city.
He can tell you how wonderful everything in Providence is, including the jail.
Thanks. All right. Thanks to Buddy. Okay. Hey, coming up a little bit later, we'll be talking with John Allen from Bloomberg about his new book on Hillary. Rachel Bade is going to talk to us about this IRS scandal, but we're very excited here at the very top of the show to welcome back a very good friend of ours from California, representing California's 13th Congressional District, the Honorable Barbara Lee. Hello, Congresswoman. Good morning. Are you there? Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Now I got you.
Okay, how are you?
Hey, Congresswoman. Nice to talk to you as always. And thank you for being such a frequent guest of the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to be with you, Bill.
Yeah. So let me ask you, first of all, about this announcement. John Boehner said yesterday we're going to, as Republicans, we're going to line up and sue President Obama for signing all these executive actions.
Well, I guess he has nothing else to do. When you look at the agenda that he has brought forward to the House floor, that not one bill that would help spur investment in job creation, nothing as it relates to the Voting Rights Act. I mean, this is outrageous in terms of the fact that he won't allow this to come to the floor when we think we could pass it. Comprehensive immigration reform won't allow that to come out to the floor, H.R. 15. And then we're looking at unemployment compensation for people who lost their unemployment in December. Now we're hearing that there may be 300,000 veterans who lost their earned unemployment compensation. And so what else does he have to do? So, I think the American people will see it for what it is. It's just some smoke and mirrors, and I think it's to cover up the fact that he's not doing the people's work.
In fact, the numbers indicate the most do-nothing Congress in history, right? Largely because this Republican leadership won't even allow votes on most of these issues, and yet he's turning around. So he wants to do nothing. I guess he wants the president to do nothing too.
Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Presidents have the authority to issue executive orders when, in fact, Congress won't act. So, the public will see them for what it is. And elections are coming soon.
And a point I made earlier, Congresswoman, is that whatever President Obama has done by executive order, it doesn't come close to what George Bush did by executive order, which was start a war in Iraq, for which we are still, it's more obvious than ever today, paying the price.
Not only did he start a war, he misled the public. He and Vice President Cheney, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, and General Powell. We remember shock and awe. They told the country there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We knew there weren't weapons of mass destruction there, and they went ahead anyway. And I have to remind, and I always say history repeats itself, and so I try to remind the public what happened during that time. And when we had the debate on the floor, I offered an amendment to that authorization to use force that said, basically, just let the United Nations conduct its inspections process. Let them complete it. They will know whether or not there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Well, I got 72 votes for that amendment. And I'm sure in hindsight now, members who did not vote for that probably think that was a reasonable, position to take.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask you that, Congresswoman, because you're a hero of mine for many reasons. But for number one is that you're the only member of Congress, either the House or the Senate, to vote against the authorization for the use of military force in Iraq. Today, do you feel that you're entitled to tell members of Congress, I told you so?
Now, let me tell you, but there were two authorizations. One was right after 9/11, Afghanistan. That's the one I voted against alone. No one would vote that one. And a year later, in 2002, there were probably about 130 members, maybe 125, 130, who voted against Iraq. But the 2001 resolution, which I voted against, set the foundation for Iraq, and it really allowed for the blank check that we see taking place now with this perpetual war all around the world. And when I talk to members, I just talk to them about the facts and the fact that the American people are war-weary, and that we need to be very careful as we move forward. And so I offered 4 amendments last week as it relates to Iraq and Afghanistan to the Defense Appropriations Bill. And I have to tell you, one of the amendments got 182 votes.
Wow.
Had 20 to 30 Republicans vote for each one of my amendments, the majority of the Democratic caucus. And these were amendments that really spoke to Congress's role in authorizing the use of force and trying to actually repeal those 2 resolutions that authorized force 12 and 13 years ago. And I mentioned that we don't even allow the farm bill or the transportation bill to continue in perpetuity. And so I think members really understand what the people are saying, and they understand that we've got to be very careful and be part of the debate, or engage in the debate if, in fact, the use of force is considered by the president.
Now, you got a lot of votes, but you didn't get enough votes to win. Does that mean that the authorization for the use of military force is still in effect today? The president.
In effect, I'm going to continue to try to repeal it. I have several bills that I'm building support for to repeal it. And I think more members are becoming more educated about it, and the public has to insist on it. Members of Congress are going to vote their constituencies. They're going to vote what their people are saying. So we have several websites, stopendlesswar.com, Don't Attack Iraq. I think it's don'tattackiraq.com. And so we're trying to help mobilize the public so that the public will weigh in with their members of Congress. And I think it's just a matter of time, Bill. This is a long process. Again, elections have consequences. We have elections in November. Hopefully, we'll be able to elect members of Congress who will move forward to try to repeal the outdated authorizations.
So with that authorization for the use of military force still in effect, it means that if he chose to do so, I guess, I guess this is more a question than anything, President Obama could reintroduce military forces into Iraq either on the ground or in the air without a vote of Congress.
Well, I think that his legal experts are going to have to advise him as to how what they think, but there's some of us who really believe, whether he has it or not, that those authorizations are outdated and should not be used to justify any new actions as it relates to Iraq. When you look at the 2001 resolution, for example, the authorization, that authorization said the president's authorized to use force anytime, anywhere, any place, as long as there's a connection to 9/11. Well, I'd say, is ISIS connected to 9/11?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There are many, many questions that have to be asked before the use of force. I'm glad that the president's talking about at least consulting with Congress, but that's not an authorization.
Right.
And so we'll have to see. But the public, I think, is war weary. I know they're war weary, and they do not want to see combat operations, especially boots on the ground, put back into a situation that really is a sectarian war.
But it is a sectarian war, and ISIS, we have to admit, is a dangerous foe. I mean, they're a real threat to the stability of that region. So, what do you think are given? What do you? It's a tough decision for President Obama. What do you think our options are right now in Iraq, Congressman?
Well, yeah, and I'm one first to say that these terrorist groups are very dangerous, and they should be dealt with. But I think it's how you do that and what is going to work. And I'm convinced that there's no military solution. Now, the Iraqis, part of this, naturally the history has to do with the invasion that the United States, shock and awe, our engagement militarily. But the Iraqis have to lead a political settlement. It's got to be a settlement that includes everyone in the region and all of the ethnic groups in Iraq, to figure out how they're going to respect religious freedoms, how the entire Iraqi society is going to be part of the political process and part of the government. That's the direction I think the president and his administration wants to go. But I also know that the dangers there. The Iraqi, we spent $25 billion training Iraqi security forces. They should be able to, if they decide to, and if they need to conduct military action, it should be the Iraqis who do this.
Right. Would you support American military strikes, airstrikes in Iraq?
I don't believe there's any military solution, because once you begin striking militarily, there are a couple things, unintended consequences. You oftentimes have to back up these strikes with boots on the ground.
Sure. Yes. Right.
I'm very concerned that this could be what we called mission creep, in Iraq, where, you send advisors, you begin slowly, and then before you know it, you're embroiled in a total mess in terms of military action.
Now, before we say goodbye, I just got to say, last time I saw you, Congresswoman, was in Sacramento about 10 days ago at the dedication of the new California Democratic Party building in Sacramento, dedicated to Chairman John L. Burton. Beautiful building and a beautiful day, wasn't it?
It was great, and I tell you, I served in the legislature for 7.5 years with Chairman Burton. I was actually on the Public Safety Committee with John Burton when the unfortunate three strikes law was passed, and there were probably 2 or 3 of us who held the line and didn't vote for it.
Yeah.
It was John Burton, myself, and Tom Bates. I'll never forget that, but I really think that John Burton has led the California Democratic Party. We're winning elections. He's a wonderful man. He's very direct and very colorful, and he's a smart human being that I love dearly. And I don't think anyone that building should have been named after.
No, absolutely. He's been a good friend of mine for a long time. In fact, John Burton got me my first job in politics. Yeah, we go way back to then. So it was great. It was fun. It was a reunion. It was really a lot of fun.
And Sacramento's a great place.
Yeah. It's long time, first time back for me in a long time, and it was looking pretty good. Okay, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, thanks so much, Congresswoman. Okay. Have a great weekend and a great 4th of July break too.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. She is the greatest, man. She is out there fighting the good fight on that authorization for the use of military force, which we should end and not make it a blank check for any president, not even for this one. We'll be right back here on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Grunt work. Love it, hate it, useful, not useful.
Necessary.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
I will say that I think is a challenge for anyone, especially the new workforce as they come in, is the ability to accept grunt work with grace.
The most boring, awful details are the most important elements of doing this work. From the way you save names in your Rolodex to the way you bank and you deposit checks. The truth is, this work isn't glamorous, it's rewarding. You don't go into this for the glamour, you go into it for the impact. And so it takes that determination to do the scut work to actually get anywhere.
It can be really challenging in a first job for someone who's coming out of finishing school to have the enthusiasm that they do to make the type of social impact that they've dreamed of. And now they're here in this first job, and all of a sudden they're shouldered with all this grunt work. And they don't understand, and they don't get it, and they're resentful.
Talk more about the power of answering phones.
Sure, I did that myself, took out the trash, cleaned offices when I had to, and it's all good. There's power in being a good team player and in being somebody who sometimes has to support other people's leadership before you get to have your own moment in the sun.
Is it hard to wait?
It is absolutely hard to wait, especially if you're an alpha female like I am.
I think grunt work can help a new employee build trust internally and teach them the nuances of how an organization is run so that they can have a real good sense of what HR is doing, what finance is doing, what all the other departments are, and that actually makes them a better employee in the long run.
So in my role on a daily basis, I literally can be looking at a new venture in software. We could be looking at a microfinance deal. I could be making coffee, taking out the trash, and riding a tractor on any given day.
Have you found people who thought it was demeaning that they were given this job, work in the front office and make the coffee when they graduated with all A's from this great university?
Yeah, people like that just don't last very long in our world. If your approach to life is that, you're so smart and you're such a fabulous entrepreneur that you can't understand why people aren't giving you opportunities, it's really hard to advance.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go at 26 minutes after the hour. Rachel Bade from Politico will be joining us in the next segment to try to sort out all these claims about the IRS. Is the IRS really hiding its emails, and they intentionally sabotage their computers to stop emails from getting to Darrell Issa and Republicans in Congress? Try to get the bottom of that flap with Rachel Bade from Politico in the next segment. Right now, we were just talking with Congresswoman Barbara Lee about the situation in Iraq. She, the only one to vote against the authorization for the military use of military force right after September 11. She's got some. You heard her say that no military solution to the situation in Iraq. Maine is calling on that same point from Chicago. Good morning, Maine.
Good morning, Bill. I'd say the reason why they want him to go back with boots on the ground, this way they can blame the entire war on him, even Bush's part. That way they'll have him to blame. They'll be pointing the finger at him saying, see, he did it. Obama did this. And that's why they want him to go back. That way they can completely take the blame off of Bush.
I think you're absolutely right. Take the blame off the Bush and off of Cheney and Paul Wolfowitz and Donald Rumsfeld and Condi Rice and who else? Paul Bremer and Bill Kristol and all those other people who were responsible for this war, right? and try to hang it all around Barack Obama's neck.
That's it. That's exactly what they're trying to do, because everything he do, they'll say the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely, Maine. I got to tell you, but I don't think the president's going to walk into that trap. I mean, he ran for office promising to end the war in Iraq. He did end the war in Iraq, and the last thing he is going to do or wants to do is to restart it.
This
ain't going to happen.
Is the Bill Press Show.
Captain.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new.
我会赢到5个总冠军戒指。
If I could have an extra 5 years to live. You said 5, right? 5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much. I would get more hamsters. I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If I could live an extra 5 years.
I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood. I want to go check out the moon sometime.
I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna. I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks. Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TalkerTV. That's TAWKR TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour, Thursday morning, June 26th. Good to have you with us. We are coming to you live on your local Progressive Talk radio station. It is The Bill Press Show. We are looking at you live on Free Speech TV. All across this great land of ours, you got a satellite dish on DirecTV. And don't forget, if you are not lucky enough to have a Progressive Talk radio station where you live, you can listen on the radio on the TuneIn app. Download it on your iPhone, your iPad, or whatever. Tune in. It's free. And then just go to the Progressive Voice channel, and there we are. Yesterday at the White House briefing, Josh Earnest made a, I would say, well, put it this way. I kind of forced him into having President Obama endorse Congressman Charlie Rangel in the general election. I think it was a big mistake, but President Obama refused to endorse Charlie Rangel for his, who's already served 44 years in Congress, refused to endorse him for re-election. So did Bill de Blasio, by the way. So yesterday, the day after Charlie won, even without the president's endorsement, I put the question to Josh Earnest.
Bill Press.
Josh, a couple of things. One, in New York's 13th congressional district, the president failed to endorse Congressman Charlie Rangel for re-election. It looks like he won anyway without the president's help. If that holds, will the president endorse him in the general election?
It is the policy of this White House that we typically support a Democratic candidate in
in general election races, particularly when they're running for Congress. So
there you have it, the ringing endorsement. Let's see. We've got a little, technical problem here. We'll get it fixed. Anyhow, that's the ringing endorsement of Charlie Rangel by President Obama through Josh Earnest yesterday. And the fact is the president had to endorse Charlie Rangel in the general election, and really should have in the primary as well. But as I told you, we wanted this half hour to talk about what's happening with the IRS. It seems forever Republicans in the House are trying to make an issue out of the IRS. First, the IRS was deliberately and exclusively targeting conservative groups. And now the charge is that the IRS has failed and refused to deliver all the emails that the House Republicans have requested. In fact, they now claim that they have lost thousands and thousands of them forever. What's really going on there? Rachel Bade covers tax issues, that means IRS, for Politico, and joins us in studio this morning. Hello, Rachel. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Why'd you break the microphone when you said that?
I lost the directions of how to use it in an email, which is gone forever.
Oh, you do. No, that's right. We can't get it back. We learned that right away. So, how many hearings has the House held on the IRS? Have you been able to keep count?
I definitely have lost count by now. I would say more than a dozen between all the different committees that are looking at it. It's definitely been an issue that was hot there for a few months after it broke in May 2013, disappeared for a while when Republicans were unable to find any direct connection with the White House or evidence of any sort of political foul play. It sort of faded from the spotlight. But this news that Lois Lerner's emails have disappeared. She was the center of the targeting. Right. She headed up the division that pulled conservative groups for extra scrutiny. Her emails disappearing for 2 years has definitely reignited it, and I think they've gotten, at least from what I've seen, a few converts to the conspiracy theory because of losing the emails. I mean, we're still trying to figure out what happened, obviously, but it surely looks fishy, and people are thinking about other scandals where things have disappeared, like Watergate and such. So that's where we are, and I would expect that even though it's been like a dozen or so, it's probably going to double the number that we've had so far. I would expect a lot of hearings about these missing emails.
All right, you're right. There were two phases. The first phase was the one we heard a lot about, and then it kind of went away. Now with the emails, the whole thing has come back. So let's take them. And Lois Lerner, who was found in contempt, right?
She was held in contempt of Congress earlier this spring for refusing to testify. She took the fifth twice, because she was, her lawyer said that she was not going to get a fair trial by Republicans in the House who have already decided that she's guilty.
Okay, so let's take the first one, right? Targeting. So the charge was that the IRS, at the direction of the White House, right? The whole conspiracy theory. Right. IRS, at the direction of the White House, was targeting conservative political action groups and going after them. What's the truth? What did we find out?
Zero evidence of White House connection whatsoever. And the White House has even gone through emails they had at the time, those 2 years that those emails are missing now. They've gone through to find out if anyone at the White House was talking to Lois Lerner, found like zero direct contact with her.
Okay, so no contact with the White House. What about the fact that they were exclusively targeting conservative groups and not liberal groups?
That's in June after this broke. Some of the liberal groups, Think Progress, I believe, was the one that came out and said actually there were some some liberal be on the lookouts. So some liberal groups were also being flagged too for words like progressive. Acorn is another group that was flagged. Groups dealing with marijuana and making it legal. So we do know that some liberal groups were also targeted. The argument that conservatives make against that is that if you look at how many groups were flagged, TIGTA, the watchdog that uncovers this, says that 100% of conservative groups that applied during this time period were held up, as opposed to maybe like 30-40% of progressive groups that applied for this tax-exempt status at the time.
And just so that everybody, all of our viewers and listeners understand, that what the IRS, the context of this was, these are groups, organizations that applied for a tax-exempt status from the IRS.
That's right.
And if they are political groups, they do not merit that tax-exempt status. So the IRS does have an obligation to make sure that they are not political fronts trying to escape their taxes, that they're legitimate educational or informational or kind of groups.
That's
Correct,
exactly right. Yeah, it's very tricky tax law. They can engage, so they're called social welfare groups, 501c4s, and they can engage in up to maybe 49% of their resources can go to political activity. But if they cross that threshold, they're not supposed to get a tax exemption. And the reason why political folks like, say, Karl Rove have looked at using groups like this before in the past is because these groups do not have to disclose their donors. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely something that, big, heavy funders want to go. If they want to remain secret, they can go through these groups. And as long as these groups are following the law, they can get this tax exemption. At least right now, they're looking at rewriting those rules right now to limit the political activity.
All right, so that's the targeting thing, and that sort of, again, they find zero evidence. It sort of goes away, despite Tara Lysa trying to keep it alive, and then they discover the missing emails.
Right.
And over a 2-year period, correct?
That's right.
Now, were these? So, what is the time frame of these emails? Were these emails sent during the scandal, before the scandal, or when? What time period are the emails missing?
So it's from early 2009 to mid 2011. Her computer crashed in June of 2011, and that's when those 2 years worth of emails disappeared. Now it's significant because early 2010 was when the whole thing started. When some folks in Cincinnati first pulled, conservative groups saying, we're not sure if these people should get tax exemptions. We're going to take it to Washington and have them take a look at it. It was early 2010. So it was right around the time when this all was beginning. It was also around the time we have learned recently that the Justice Department was considering prosecuting some of these groups that were not following the law, that they thought were overly engaging in political activity against rules that govern these sorts of groups. So we know that Lois Lerner was also talking to the Justice Department in 2010 about this as well. So that's why Republicans argue this is a very crucial time. And if there was a smoking gun, it would have been in this time frame, is what they're saying.
That's what they're saying, in this time frame. Well, so is there any evidence that the IRS basically... So again, this is 2 years before, really, Congress started investigating, right? But is there any evidence that the IRS thought, Congress may come after us, and so they just knowingly, willingly, deliberately destroyed these emails?
Well, that's a good question. The watchdog that started investigating this and came out with the final report had not started its investigation into this. 10 days before her email crash, we've heard this many, many times in hearings of the past couple of days, was the first time the Ways and Means chairman, Dave Camp, had sent a letter to the IRS asking about certain things regarding the political activities of these social welfare groups. He had apparently been getting complaints from people saying, my application's been held up for a long time. They're telling me I'm doing too much political activity. What does this mean? And he wrote to the IRS and said, what the heck is going on? He didn't mention that it was only conservatives that he was hearing from. It was a very, very broad-based question across the political spectrum. So that happened, about a week and a half before her computer crashed.
Right. And did the IRS try to find these emails?
They absolutely did. They tried to, first of all, they took her computer to the regular IT folks. They couldn't figure it out, so they did like an extra step that they don't normally do for IRS agents who have crashed computers, and actually sent it to the criminal division, the criminal investigators. And those people are like the geniuses who, are the whizzes. They can find these documents when they're hidden on a criminal's computer. They're really good with computers, in essence. And they also could not pull it up. They were not able to salvage the hard drive. And so knowing that, they recycled it, which is standard procedure at the IRS when something is, broken. And that was that. But I think it's important to note that, and the IRS Commissioner, John Koskinen, brought this up at his hearings. Just this year alone, the IRS has seen 2,000 computers crash for IRS workers. So their technology is so outdated. They don't have the money to have good computers. They have horrible backup system, obviously, because we don't have these emails because they weren't backed up. So it's not incredibly rare for computers to crash.
I have a confession to make.
What's that?
My computer's crashed too.
Oh, yeah?
Not the last week or so, but probably the fact that it hasn't done the last week is really unusual because it crashes about once a week, it seems to me. And I've lost emails too.
Oh, have you lost emails?
Rachel Bade is here with us from Politico. We're trying to get to the bottom of the IRS scandal. Or is it a scandal? 866-55-PRESS. Your thoughts. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. I mean, there was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. You could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. The truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TalkerTV. That's TAWKR TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
Yes, if you believe Darrell Issa, the IRS, the worst government agency ever. And I think everybody hates the IRS anyway, because you know what they're all about, taxes. But is there anything to this conspiracy theory Republicans are putting forth? Rachel Bade, top reporter for Politico on tax issues here in studio with us. Rachel, it all sounds familiar to me that they're missing emails, because I remember in the waning days of the Bush administration, there were missing emails.
That's exactly right. This is definitely
on several issues. Right.
On several issues. This is something that has sort of plagued the federal government in scandals from administration to administration, not specific to one. But in the Bush administration, there were the infamous torture memos that emails disappeared from, and then also emails related to the decision to invade Iraq also disappeared. And I
remember the Karl Rove, there was some question about emails using the RNC server at the White House, a lot of political emails back and forth, which suddenly disappeared as well.
So, poof, gone.
Yeah. I was just looking during the break. Dana Perino, this is April 13, 2007, told reporters, I wouldn't rule out there were a potential 5 million emails.
5 million.
Lost. Poof.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely advocates, transparency advocates have definitely tried to fix this over the years because of scandals like this.
And one of the problems is there really is, and you touched on this just before the break, across the board in agency after agency after agency, they haven't reached the digital age yet.
No, they definitely haven't. They're working on it right now. The National Archives is actually heading up some new regulations that are set to take effect in the next couple of years that would basically require more storage of these sorts of emails. If you think about how many emails you have on your computer, and you can save them for a long time. I know personally I have tens of thousands of emails on and they're all backed up on my Outlook. But at the IRS, for example, and at a lot of government agencies, government workers can only keep, about 5,000 emails at a time in their inbox, outbox, and they have to archive. If they want to continue receiving emails, they have to archive them, and they have to archive them somewhere. And at the IRS, they just archived them on their hard drive, their computers. And so if their computers crashed and burned, then the government would lose all records of any sorts of emails they had there. It just blew my mind when all this broke and I realized that the government didn't have a universal backup system. I thought for sure they were using the cloud or something like we use with Gmail, but they're not right now. They definitely haven't reached that time, the digital age.
And what happens with Lois Lerner? Is she still on the job?
Oh, no, she retired.
She retired.
She retired last fall.
So they've held her in contempt. What does that mean?
It doesn't mean much unless the Justice Department decided to bring her to court for holding her in contempt. It's up to them to take it to court, and I really don't see that happening at this point. The Justice Department has given no indication that they're interested in really, going after Lois Lerner. They've done an investigation. They're continuing to do an investigation. We haven't heard where they are on that. Republicans claim that it's biased because one of the people working on the investigation is an Obama donor. So they have already dismissed whatever the Justice Department would say anyway. Yeah. So right now she's laying low. We don't really hear much from her. She doesn't do op-eds. She doesn't really talk to the press. But of course her name will continue to be put out there because of this email thing.
And I think the one thing we can conclude is that this issue, real or not, is not going to go away, and we'll continue to have hearings probably from now until Barack Obama's out of the White House.
Probably.
Well, it'll keep you busy for sure.
It will. I'll have a job.
Thanks so much for coming in this morning. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me in studio.
At Politico, of course, Politico.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, 2 hours are almost down, ready to move into hour number 3. Since we're going to lose many of you on Free Speech TV, move over to Talker TV, youtube.com/Talker, TAWKR TV. Anywhere on this planet, you can get us. John Allen with Bloomberg News, wrote the big book about Hillary with Amy Parnes, and he'll be here to talk about Hillary's book tour and how that is going. And Pat Robertson says, if you get a tattoo, you are not a Christian, you are a heathen. Find out about that. Hour number 3 coming up.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new. If I could have an extra 5 years to live. You said 5, right? 5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much. I would get more hamsters. I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If I could live an extra 5 years.
I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime. I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna. I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks. Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the next hour, John Allen is here from Politico. No, I'm sorry, used to be Politico. Man, Bloomberg News White House correspondent and co-author of the great new book on Hillary, HRC. Find out how her book tour is going so far. And then we'll talk more about the big lawsuit John Boehner announced yesterday against President Obama. President Obama not too concerned about it. He's taking off for Minneapolis today. He leaves the White House at 10:50 this morning on the way to Andrews Air Force Base. Takes off at 11 o'clock on the way to Minneapolis. Josh Earnest told us yesterday the president will be watching, of course, USA versus Germany. You can do that on Air Force One. In Minneapolis, he'll be hosting a town hall at 2:15 this afternoon. And then this evening, he will be appearing at a fundraiser for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. The president spending the night in Minneapolis, and tomorrow, a day in the life of Rebecca. We don't know that much about Rebecca. She wrote a letter to the president. We'll find out more. We'll come back with John Allen from Bloomberg.
Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. There was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. You could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
Yeah, I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. Truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
I want.
This is the Bill Press Show.
John Boehner says, we won't do anything, and if President Obama tries to do something, we'll sue him. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, June 26th. Welcome to the show. The Bill Press Show coming to you live nationwide, coast to coast on your local progressive talk radio station, and booming out to you worldwide on our video stream at Talker TV, youtube.com/Talker, TAWKR TV. Good to have you with us this Thursday morning. We're coming to you from our nation's capital and our studio on Capitol Hill with our entire team. Well, not the entire team. Elisa Murphy's got the day off up in Rhode Island, Block Island, Rhode Island, for a little wedding. Beautiful place, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
John Allen joins us from Bloomberg News, covers the White House for Bloomberg News, and co-author with Amy Parnes of the great book, HRC. This is even better than Hillary's book.
Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate you saying that.
It is. This is the real stuff here, right?
And it's much lighter.
Yeah, that's true.
It's heavy. It's more portable.
Peter Ogburn here leading the team.
Hey.
Peter. With Alicia Cruz. Hi, Alicia. She's got the phones covered. 866-55-PRESS is your toll-free number. And Cyprian Bolding's got the time off, too, a week or so off. And so Monty Kanzler is here on our video cam, keeping us looking good on the worldwide video stream, Talker TV. So it's here, John, my first question to you is, I know this is kind of a personal question, but from what I can see, I might be able to guess the answer, but I have to ask you. So, do you have any tattoos?
I don't have any tattoos.
No.
I have no tattoos.
My grandfather always said, don't get a tattoo where a judge can see it. So, you're good on that front.
Is that right? Well, all I got to say is Pat Robertson will be glad to hear that. Yesterday on his 700 Club, he got a question from a viewer about whether or not it was okay to get a tattoo as long as it was a tattoo of Jesus. Here's Pat Robertson.
Is getting a tattoo of Jesus a sin? I see many people with religious tattoos. Does that make it okay?
Well, it doesn't make it okay because it's religious, believe me. I mean, it could be just the same, the tattoo of some hoochie cooch girl. I mean, it doesn't really make any difference, the tattoos. You look at the Bible, and the people were told not to mark their bodies and cut themselves like the heathen did. Tattooing is a heathen practice. It is not a Christian practice.
A heathen practice, John.
Look, you are not supposed to be buried in a Jewish cemetery if you have a tattoo or other body modifications. So
is that right?
Yeah, I mean, this is so.
I didn't know that.
Well,
it's heathen behavior.
Pat Robertson's onto something.
Well, his language of heathenism and sin is probably not one that that most people share. I think that it's not. He's certainly not the only one. And like I said, in the Jewish religion, you're not supposed to be buried in a cemetery.
But is it practiced that way? Is it?
I think it is a deterrent against most Jews getting tattoos.
Is it still?
Yeah, I think it's just one of the. I mean, I think it's looked at more traditionally.
Yeah.
Rather than as a religious dictate. I think people don't do it because it's the tradition, not because it's.
Well, here's
the Bible.
Picking up on that. Here's how far back it goes. Again, Pat Robertson.
It is a heathen practice, and it is prohibited in the Old Testament. And so the fact that it's Jesus doesn't make a bit of difference, all right?
There you go.
Not to mention the iconography. I don't know if you start to get into if an image of Jesus becomes a false idol, if it's not, it's not the right image of Jesus.
Yeah. We're getting to. But now, I have to say, one of our
I'm
guests,
not a religious scholar, by the way. I should just.
one of our guests and one of our favorite guests, I'm not going to mention her name, has, she told me, 9 tattoos. You can only see one of them. When
was she the one that was just in studio?
No. No, but I'm not going to mention. I'm going to go beyond that. So I don't know what that says about her. Pat Robertson would say, "You're going to burn in hell."
Heathen.
Yeah.
Well, look, I don't have a tattoo, and one reason is that if you expect large weight gain or loss, that the tattoos can look a lot different. So
that's right.
If you have the words say something different when they expand or contract.
I don't have any because I don't like pain. They hurt. I've been told. I don't want somebody just.
That's also a good deterrent.
Don't you think? How many do you have, Peter?
No comment. I refer to the earlier comment I made about never get a tattoo where a judge can see it.
All right. We'll take it at that. Yes, indeed. So we'll get into how's Hillary doing with her new book, Hard Choices. With that and other topics on the White House agenda with John Allen. But first,
this is
Peter, what do you got?
Just a couple of other stories making news. Yes, indeed, more and more people are watching TV via binge watching, sitting down and watching several episodes at one time. So TiVo did a survey to find out what shows are being binge watched the most. Number 1 on the list is... Do you want to take a guess? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Bryan Cranston.
It is Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad. Yes, indeed. That is number 1. More people are binge watching Breaking Bad.
That's a guess, but...
It's a good guess. That's how I watch it. I had to catch up until I made it to the last season. Number 2 on the list, House of Cards, which is predictable when you think about how they distribute it on Netflix all at one time. Rounding out the top 5, number 3 is Game of Thrones. Number 4, The Walking Dead. Number 5, Downton Abbey.
Yeah, they all make sense to me.
Absolutely, yeah. The Interview is the name of a new movie starring James Franco and Seth Rogen coming out in just a few weeks. It is a comedy based on Seth Rogen attempting to assassinate Kim Jong-un. And they have an actor actually portraying Kim Jong-un. Well, as you can imagine, North Korea is not very happy about that. In fact, they put out a statement yesterday saying, quote, if the United States administration tacitly approves or supports the release of this film, we will take a decisive and merciless countermeasure. In other words, these two knuckleheads making a comedy might set off war between us and North Korea. That is, of course, if you believe what North Korea has to say.
I think Kim Jong-un is taking himself a little too seriously.
Just
it sounds like we better call Dennis Rodman in here, right?
Merciless and mirthless.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And last night was the 53rd edition of the men's congressional baseball game.
Oh,
that was
right.
last night at Nats Ballpark, where the Democrats again came out on top. It was 15-6 when rain and lightning cut the game short at the top of the 7th inning. Democrats led by Cedric Richmond. Now, last year, the Democrats won, I believe it was 22-0. But again, another big win for the Democrats.
I forgot that big storm last night
came in towards the end of the game.
You were there?
I was there. I was drenched. I was broadcasting the game for another radio outlet. And we could see the electrical storm coming. And then finally they called the game because of the lightning. And then quickly it was pouring. Everybody that was out there last night.
There's no cover at Nats Stadium.
Nowhere to go. And they were the people that worked there were pushing us out the gates into the elements.
Really?
It was quite a fiasco there last night.
Whoa, man!
I got a text message from my dad. It said he's in Bethesda. He said, It's apocalyptic out here. I bet you can see that from where you are, because I was in the broadcast booth up on the sort of fifth level of the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
We could, for miles and miles
It was
away.
one of the fiercest storms that I've seen in Washington. Yeah, when they come through like that, man. Yeah, and the lightning was pretty intense.
Better than the 4th of July fireworks.
Yeah, indeed.
But more dangerous.
Yes. So, John Allen, you are the one of the world's authorities now on Hillary Clinton, having written the book HRC with Amy. How's her book tour doing? Hard Choices.
Up
and down, huh?
Up and down. I think, look, anybody that sells as many books as she has sold should be happy. Both of us having been authors, it's not easy to sell books in the six-figure level, and she's done that. But we get new reports out yesterday. The book scan numbers are out. Her sales dropped way off, as did most other books right after Father's Day. She dropped from somewhere in the 85,000 range on BookScan, which doesn't capture all the books, to 45, 48,000, something like that. It was about a 44%
So sales
drop-off.
are down.
Sales are down. That's to be expected. That's absolutely typical. You peak with the release and all those media interviews, and then usually drop off a little bit. But this was a pretty severe drop off.
But there's been more attention to the fact that in almost every public appearance talking about the book, she has made one gaffe, at least one gaffe, starting with the most notorious, I guess, Diane Sawyer, about we were so broke when we left the White House, we could not figure out how we were going to pay mortgages on our multiple houses. I'm paraphrasing, but...
And Bill Clinton came out and defended her and said, it is factually accurate that we were in debt when we came out of the White House. Of course, most people coming out of the White House don't have tens of millions of dollars in book deals headed their way. They don't have the ability to borrow $1 million or more from Terry McAuliffe to finance their mortgage. And the idea that they were struggling.
They don't get $200,000 for a half-hour speech.
Right, and the idea that they were struggling, and she talked about them struggling when they came out of the White House, is absurd. She's not only made mistakes seemingly at every leg, but often the same mistake, which is to not appreciate how wealthy she is, and to not accept it. I don't think voters hold it against candidates that they're rich. They just hold it against candidates who don't understand that they're rich or don't understand what the average person is going through. So
that's what I've been thinking. I mean, why pretend that they're not? I mean, they're wealthy, and again, good for them, and they went through some lean years, and now they're enjoying some good sources of income. I mean, the Kennedys, people didn't hold it against the Kennedys because they were wealthy.
This famous moment with Ted Kennedy, his first Senate race, and the opponent attacked him for not having worked a day in his life, and he basically looked out at some factory workers and said, which of you would prefer to work if you didn't have to?
Right.
And handled it well. He lived well in that skin.
Yeah. So what does this say, if anything, about Hillary Clinton / candidate? I mean, does it say that she is just out of practice, maybe, or just having a rough period, or does it say anything at all?
I think it says that her view of her life is very different than that from the outside. I think from her point of view, she did struggle. From her point of view, there were many years that were lean, and I think that's true. When they were in Arkansas, they certainly weren't. As wealthy as they are now. But I do think that there's a major disconnect between her view of her own life story and that of the outside world, and she's got to find a way to close that gap. And even if she's unable to fully absorb that difference and understand it, she needs to at least intellectualize it so she can talk about it better. She will continue to be asked about this, I guarantee, not only today and tomorrow, but if she's on the campaign trail, it's something she will now dog her.
How do you think that the difficulties that the Obama administration is experiencing today in Iraq, in Iran, in Syria, reflect on Hillary Clinton's plans for 2016?
I don't think they'll affect her plans. I think her plan is to say, hey, I've been here, I've done this, I'm better at foreign policy than Barack Obama. That's the not so subtle message in her book, where she talks about the places where she had differences with him, on Syria in particular. So I think you're basically, as you project forward, I don't think she's going to back off of running because of some of the difficulties here. I think it changes her message. I think she's had some difficulty, and this gets the question of writing a book and the wisdom of doing that, writing a backward-looking book as you're attempting to run for president. There's an economic driver here. She's got a book contract. She has to write about the past, what she did as Secretary of State. But it's a terrible way to launch a presidential campaign because now she's going to be asked about things that are almost exclusively in the present in terms of foreign policy or in the past, not the future. And it sticks her in places where, like the world's changing as we speak. It's changing.
Yeah.
And so your view of things is not static, but the book is static. And she's going to be pinned down on everything that's in that book and end up talking a lot about it instead of the future. Most candidates put out some sort of bromide-laden platform before they run.
Yeah. That's right. It's a burden, a benefit and a burden, I guess. And some of the Democrats that I've talked to are expressed a little concern that her difficulties on the book tour in her interviews remind them that as a candidate in 2008, she had her flaws as a candidate too, right? And so still maybe a flaw.
She hates the press, and not just you, Bill Press, but the larger media. She's really not a fan, and becomes extremely defensive in interviews. And it's apparent, and you can see it in her face, and you can hear it in her voice that she doesn't want to be where she is when she's being interviewed, and it comes off terribly.
John Allen here. He is with Bloomberg News, covers the White House for Bloomberg News, also co-author with Amy Parnes of HRC. Let's take a look at some of the issues that we've been talking about at the White House briefings, John, when we come back here. If you want to join the conversation, you know how to do it. 866-55-PRESS.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today,
I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Did you commit to change the world?
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 26 minutes after the hour. Visiting in studio with John Allen from Bloomberg News, covers the White House for Bloomberg. So the big issue, of course, lately has been the president dealing with Iraq. What are his options? What's he going to do? I mean, he says
that there are no options that are off the table.
But what does that mean?
I think they're going to try to do whatever they can to stand up an Iraqi government against, to make sure that Baghdad doesn't fall, those kinds of things. And when I say whatever they can, that doesn't include the massive use of American force. The president's stuck. I mean, there's this great irony now that President Obama is sending in military, they call them advisors, essentially under the Iraq war authorization from 2002 that he opposed.
That he opposed, right.
And I don't think there's hypocrisy in that. I think there's reality in that. And I think, if it were up to him, we would have been out of Iraq the day that he set foot in the White House. But he's being forced. I mean, there are now American, not just American assets, but interests there. You've got the entire Green Zone. There are a lot of Americans there. So I don't think he has a lot of choice but to protect what's there that is ours, and try to stand up or help support a government. And when I say that, I don't mean the leader of that government necessarily. I just mean the stability of the government. It's the same problem I think they had in Syria, where they would have liked to have had Assad's group in power in Syria, just not Assad.
Mm-hmm. And that is the problem in Iraq is Nouri al-Maliki, who doesn't seem willing to or able to do what has to be done. And what President Obama says is the answer here, which is a unified government. Yeah, and it's
I think there were people who warned about this all along, that you were never going to see a unified Iraq, that it would be one section or one sector winning over the other. Yeah. And the chief among those voices was Vice President Joe Biden when he was in the Senate. I remember well. Out of time, John. Nice to see you today. My pleasure.
Thanks for your good work. Continue to follow former Secretary of State on the trail. I'm sure you will. Don't forget, if you don't have it yet, get the book, HRC. And we'll see you again soon.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
All right. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want want to help but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new.
我会赢到5个总冠军戒指。
If I could have an extra 5 years to live.
You said 5, right?
5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much.
I would get more hamsters.
I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If I could live an extra 5 years.
I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime. I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna.
I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed.
If I had 5 more extra years to live.
I would be the boss of all the chipmunks.
Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas.
I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
Bill Press Show.
On a Thursday morning, June 26th, 33 minutes after the hour. Good morning, and welcome back to the Bill Press Show here. So, the big news of the day yesterday, John Boehner making the big announcement that in the month of July, he is going to give Republicans a chance to decide whether or not they want to sue President Obama because he has issued too many executive orders, and according to John Boehner, he has exceeded his constitutional authority. They're going to call for this vote in July, and you know it'll pass, and you know they're going to do it, and you also know it is monumentally stupid and a total waste of time and money. Let's talk about it here. Love to get your comments on what you think this all means at 866-55-PRESS. So, but first let's put it in context, okay? We know fact. This is the most do-nothing Congress in history. Anybody will show you that. As long as we've been keeping the records, this Congress has accomplished less than any other Congress, whether it was dominated by or controlled by Republicans or Democrats. Number one. Number two, we know that in his State of the Union address, the president told Congress, if you continue to just sit on your hands and not do anything about immigration reform or climate change or education or jobs or minimum wage or unemployment insurance or health care, or you go down the list of any issue facing this country on which Congress has done nothing, the president said, if you refuse to do anything at all, then I'll do what I can by executive order, by using my pen and my phone, by pen or by phone, the famous phrase that he used. Now, what happened yesterday is that, in effect, John Boehner says, oh, wait a minute. We're not doing anything, but if you try to do anything, we're going to sue you. And we're going to sue you for taking executive actions. By the way, John Boehner didn't say which particular executive actions he finds that he opposes, which things that President Obama, he didn't spell out which things President Obama has done he feels exceeds his authority. He just said, basically, if you do anything, we're going to sue you. And not only that, of course, we're going to make taxpayers pay for our lawsuit. By the way, I thought Republicans and conservatives were against frivolous lawsuits. This is only a frivolous lawsuit. But again, we taxpayers, we didn't decide to file this lawsuit. This is going nowhere. This is totally silly, and yet we are going to have to pay for it, no matter how long it takes. And what are the things? So here is Boehner explaining with this spin as to why he thinks he's doing the will of the people in filing a lawsuit against the president of the United States.
I believe the president is not faithfully executing the laws of our country. And on behalf of the institution and our Constitution, standing up and fighting for this is in the best long-term interest of the Congress.
Really? Really? Exceeding his authority? Well, let's take a look at some of the things that the president has done. Some businesses complained that they couldn't gear up fast enough to provide their employees health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. So the president says, okay, you still have to do it, but we'll delay it for a year, give you time to do that. Exceeding his authority, he had that flexibility under the law. Congress refused to do anything about the minimum wage. So the president says, well, that's too bad. I wish you would, but, at least I'm in charge of federal contracts. So I'll sign executive orders saying if you're a contractor and you're signing a contract with the federal government, you're going to have to pay $10.10 an hour. Going forward, you're going to have to pay the minimum wage. He's got the authority to do that. He's a commander-in-chief. He's the head of the federal government. The president said, well, on climate change, Congress isn't going to do anything about climate change. Well, here's what we'll do from the EPA. We'll issue some new rules affecting new power plants, and then we'll issue some new rules than they just did affecting existing power plants. And by the way, those rules from the EPA have been upheld and endorsed by the Supreme Court, the John Roberts Court of the United States. And John Boehner says the president is exceeding his constitutional authority, really? Now, by the way, there's a little problem here for the Republicans. Number one is, how much stink did they raise when George Bush used his executive authority? Right? By the way, I saw the numbers this morning. Bill Clinton signed 364 executive orders. George Bush signed 291 executive orders. They didn't sue Bill Clinton. They didn't sue George Bush. President Obama so far has signed 168 executive orders. This is what presidents do, especially when Congress doesn't act. And President Obama has signed nowhere near what President Bush did. And not only that, let's put it also in context with this. What is the number one thing George Bush did by executive action? He started a war, 2 wars. I'm particularly thinking about the war in Iraq, which he did without any authorization from Congress. You talk about exceeding your executive authority. That was a classic example. Now, you know what this is? Isn't it? It's just a political smokescreen. It's just, as Nancy Pelosi called it yesterday, a subterfuge that Boehner's putting out there to cover up the fact that they are doing absolutely nothing. And while they're doing nothing again, they're accusing the president of exceeding his executive authority by trying to get some things done. And then again, the worst of all is making us pay for it. You tell me, I hope the American people will not fall for this. I hope the American people, and I believe the American people will see it for exactly what it is, a big political smokescreen thrown up by Republicans to hide their own lack of action. Now, don't take it from me, okay? If you don't believe me, then believe Fox News. I love this. Yesterday, Neil Cavuto on Fox Business called in crazy Michelle Bachmann to defend this policy. And, you'll hear Cavuto just tell her, you are just absolutely wrong to pursue this and wasting our time and money. Here's their exchange on Fox News yesterday. Michelle Bachmann trying to defend this silly lawsuit.
Where was your rage? Where was your rage, Congresswoman?
Listen.
Where
Let me
was
have
your
1
rage,
minute.
Congresswoman? No, you're conflating issues and you're being silly. Where was your rage when Democrats were going after President Bush on the same use of executive orders? Because I think you knew then that was a waste of time then, and I think you know in your heart of hearts this is a waste of time now. There are far more important things that you guys have to be addressing. Think about what you're saying. Defund the executive branch. Congresswoman, if Democrats had said we're going to just defund President Bush, we're going to defund the executive, you would laugh them out. And so you should have then. And I think Democrats will be in their right mind to laugh you out now. We'll have more after this.
Well, then what do you do? What do you do? That's what the
So they go to break with Michelle Bachmann says, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Yeah. You know what? You use your head. You use good judgment. You use good sense. That montage, by the way, and we thank Politico for putting that montage together of a long exchange, and pretty heated, as you can hear, between Neil Cavuto and Michelle Bachmann on Fox News. I mean, anybody with any sense sees this exactly for what it is. And you know what's going to happen. Yeah, John Boehner will call for this vote. And, of course, Republicans will march in lockstep, and they'll all vote, and they'll all think they're doing the great thing. And this lawsuit is just going to go nowhere. I might point out that the last time the House Republicans banded together to file a lawsuit, remember, was they sued they hired their own, because the Obama administration refused to defend the Defense of Marriage Act. The House Republicans went on record, the only people who would stand up and defend the House of Marriage Act, and they took it all the way to the Supreme Court, and they lost. Again, the conservative Roberts Court said that House Republicans were wrong. They said the Defense of Marriage Act was unconstitutional. So this just shows how much success House Republicans have had with their lawsuits in the past, and they'll have even less success with this one. But the worst part is the fact that you even go down this path and even make this argument against President Bush, and again use taxpayer dollars to support it. Let's talk about it. What do you think? Will the American people see through it? Will this boomerang backfire on Republicans? I think it will. 866-55-PRESS here on the Bill Press Show Thursday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour. John Boehner hastening to say yesterday, this has nothing to do with impeachment. Yeah, I think they realize they can't impeach him, President Obama, and they also know the American people would never tolerate that. So instead, they've got a new option, a new trick, a new political game they're going to play, which is this lawsuit against President Obama for daring to sign executive orders. What do you say? 866-55-PRESS out in Madison, Wisconsin, 92.1 The Mic. Good morning, Francois.
Good morning. Hey, as part of We the People, can we the people sue John Boehner, Congress, for not doing anything and wasting our tax dollars?
Well, you know what?
Don't seem to mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say that's an excellent question, and that lawsuit would have a lot more basis to it, right, than their lawsuit against Obama. Yeah, sue them for doing nothing.
And for trying to repeal Obamacare 50-something times, wasting our tax dollars trying to do that. So.
You know what, Francois? That's a great point. I wish I'm not a lawyer. I would say you got as good a chance as John Boehner does. I'd love to see somebody bring that lawsuit on behalf of the American people. Yeah. Here's the deal. We're paying you to do your job, and you're not doing your job, right? Sounds to me like the grounds for a lawsuit. I love it. Thanks, Francois. Good to hear from you in Chicago. Hello, Daryl. Good morning.
Hi, Bill. I had an idea. If they actually do go to court and we have a plaintiff-respondent relationship between the president and the Congress, does that mean that President Obama would have to have any other discussions with the Congress at that point?
Oh, you mean... yeah, because they're opponents in a civil case like that, right? They wouldn't be able to... Yeah.
Right. Well, that's even more of a waste of our time, their time, and our money.
Yeah, absolutely, Darryl. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that aspect of it all. Overall, I just think I appreciate the call, Darryl. Thank you so much. Overall, look, it's just silly. There's no way you can justify this, and I think what it is, it's an excuse, more of an excuse, or a cover-up for doing nothing. Because if you look at all the issues that are in front of this Congress, whether it's jobs or immigration reform or education, go down the list, or climate change or extension of unemployment insurance or raising the minimum wage, what has the response from this Congress been? Zero. Nothing. So I think rightfully the president has said you just can't leave the country at a standstill. There are important issues, important problems to be solved. I can't, the president speaking, I can't do everything the Congress can do, but there are certain maybe baby steps that I can take, and at least I'm going to take them. And I think that's what the American people want. They don't want us to stand still. And I think the American people will see what John Boehner is doing, particularly given the kinds of executive actions that this president has passed. They'll see what John Boehner is doing as just being a political ploy, a political game. In Phoenix, Arizona, hello, John. Good morning.
Morning, Bill.
Yeah, what do you think?
To me, this is just another example of how the Republicans just want to obstruct, and say no and deny and shut down the government, make it not work, show that it doesn't work, and sure enough, they're succeeding again, you know?
Yeah, no. It is. And it's almost like we are not doing anything, and we resent the fact that anybody else is trying to do something, right?
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah. That's why I think, again, I think the American people will see through it. John, I appreciate it. I want to give you those numbers again just to put it in context with President, whoever did this homework for them this morning, good for them, 364 executive orders signed by Bill Clinton, 291 signed by George W. Bush, 168 only signed by Barack Obama. Now, he's got a couple of years to go, but clearly he's way behind the curve when it comes to former presidents. And in terms of substance and impact, he's way behind the curve. When you compare, take any one of President Obama's executive orders. Let's say the EPA's new regulations on existing power plants. Yeah, I mean, really? That goes up on the same level as George W. Bush starting a war in Iraq that cost us trillions of dollars and 4,500 American lives and countless Iraqi lives, and we're still paying the price for it? And George Bush, did you see the Republicans sue George Bush for exceeding his executive authority? Didn't say beans about it. Pat, out in Beloit, Wisconsin. Hey, Pat, how are you this morning?
Fine, thank you. I don't know. It seems to have went under the radar, but Charlie Rose did an hour interview with Dick Cheney 2 nights ago. And I wish you would watch it because
I don't want to watch Dick Cheney.
Well, no, I didn't either, but I wanted to hear what the fool said. And one of the things he criticized the president on is consulting Congress before he sent troops in to Iraq. And it's like, wait a minute, you know? So just for a laugh, don't take him seriously. Watch parts of the interview because he is just nuts. And I had one quick question.
You know what it is? It's damned if you do, damned if you don't, right, Pat?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have one quick question.
Go.
When he talked about touring the Middle East 2 months ago, why didn't they take him to La Hague at that time when he was out of the country?
They should have. They should have taken him there a long time ago. Good to hear from you, Pat. Yes, this Boehner lawsuit, we'll keep track of it and talk more about it, I'm sure, later. And I'll be back when we come right next with a parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment, and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, well, as we've been talking about the last few minutes, we can't complain about lack of action from the House anymore. Yesterday, Republicans finally agreed to take some action, except the wrong kind of action, having refused to do anything about health care, immigration reform, or climate change for the last 6 years. Speaker John Boehner announced that House Republicans are going to sue President Obama for using his executive authority on each of those issues. In other words, having refused to do their job, House Republicans are now going to sue President Obama for doing his job. And of course, American taxpayers will have to pay the bill for a lawsuit that is going to drag on for years, probably even after Obama leaves office. This has to be the most stupid of all the stupid things that John Boehner has ever done as Speaker. But you know, I've got a better idea. Instead of suing President Obama, why don't they just impeach him? Oh, that's right. Yeah, they want to do that too. There they go. Waste of time and money. That's my parting shot for today, folks. Have a great day. Come back and see us again tomorrow morning. In the meantime, noon today, East Coast time, USA versus Germany. USA,
This
USA.
is the Bill Press Show.